Okay, good afternoon. We appreciate you coming to the press conference on such short notice. My name is Vic Rosenthal. I'm the Executive Director of Jewish Community Action. For 20 years, we've been doing work on social, racial, and economic justice. 36 times in the Torah, in our scriptures, it says, "You shall welcome the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt." Apparently, the president doesn't know anything about this scripture because his executive orders of today have already taken us away from the holy book. For my community, the Jewish community, we know all too well what it means to not be welcomed in a community, to be cast out, to be treated as if we don't belong. And these executive orders take this country in the wrong direction. Now, 13 years ago and 14 years ago, the cities of St. Paul and Minneapolis took a big step forward when they passed the separation ordinances in both cities, and I had the privilege of working on both of them with both mayors at that time to get those through so that we would protect those immigrants in our community and make sure that law enforcement was not being asked to do the job of the federal government. It was true then, it's true now, and that's why we're here today. And you're going to hear from a variety of speakers. It's very exciting to have this many members of the Minnesota House, the Minnesota Senate, local city council members, and others from around the community, advocates who are here to basically stand up to the President of the United States and says, not in our state, not in our communities. So with all these speakers, I know they're going to be on their best behavior to speak briefly, but we're going to start off with Representative Carlos Mariani.
Muy buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everyone. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that this room is packed, not unlike the packing that's been happening in public spaces all across our state, including the incredible packing last Saturday. Let me say that what you have before you here is a couple of things. One is an incredible diversity. African American, Latinos, Asians, Native Americans, immigrants, Muslims, Christians, Jews. This is who we are. This is Minnesota. It is our nation, and this is who we are as Minnesota. We're not only here to stand up to we're here to stand up for who we are. And here's who we are, because the other thing you have here is a lot of local elected officials. And one of the things we have in common, we have two things. One is we acknowledge who we are, and we see strength in that, and we use that to make a stronger Minnesota, a stronger Worthington, a stronger Minneapolis, a stronger St. Paul. You get the picture. We know that our strength comes precisely from this, and quite frankly, folks, that's a 150-year-old recipe. We've been doing this for a long time. We're not going to be diverted away from continuing to do it. I've had the privilege to work with a number of people here to pass several really important pieces of legislation, including things like the DREAM Act, the Prosperity Act in Minnesota, that sees clearly our immigrant communities, our immigrant and refugee communities, and sees value there and says, you know, even if, regardless of your status, we're going to be part of building community with you so that you can pursue your educational dreams. And you know what we're betting on? That's going to come back to all of us. That's the formula of Minnesota. And so, to close, let me just say, and we have folks who can speak specifically about some of the executive orders that came out today. We suspect there'll be others that will come. We're greatly, greatly, greatly disturbed and concerned and alarmed that those are going to undo what we do here in Minnesota. And we're here to say that we are going to stand up to that. We're not going to allow that to happen in Minnesota. We will resist any effort to destroy who we are as a state and a people. And so thank you all for being here today. I look forward to having conversations with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Mariani. Next, two speakers coming together are Representative Ilhan Omar and Jelani Hussein from the Council of American Islamic Relations.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here and joining us. Thank you, everyone, for coming in short notice. What's really interesting about what's happening today is that there is a particular irony. Most of the refugees that are in this country and those on their way, and most of the immigrants in this country are members of our community who are fleeing countries because they are living in fear. They are looking for independence. They are looking to live in a democracy that welcomes them. And the irony in this is that this country that people are fleeing to is becoming one of tyranny, it's becoming one of dictatorship, and it's becoming one that is turning its face against the values that it's supposed to stand for. The immigrants of today, the refugees of today, are not that far different from the refugees and the immigrants of yesterday. Your grandfathers, your great-grandfathers, your grandmothers, and your great-grandmothers, and some of you, your parents. The same for our president, his great-grandparents, or immigrants themselves. When they were coming here, they were seeking particular opportunities that would allow them to have a job, to have an income to feed their kids, to have an opportunity to get an education, to have an opportunity to give their children better life and a different trajectory than the one they would have if they stayed in their own country. That is what our current president got because of his great-grandparents fleeing for that particular opportunity. This is what he's denying us, what he's denying our relatives who want to come here, who want to live in freedom, who understand what it means to be silenced. This is supposed to be the country that is supposed to welcome people. So here's what I want to say about the immigrants and the refugees that Donald Trump, our president, is trying to divide and fearmonger around. We are doctors, we're teachers, we're poets, we're business owners, we're factory workers. Despite the cold here in Minnesota and in many parts of America, we experience the warmth of welcoming neighbors. We raise children here, and we raise future leaders. I hope the new administration and other doubters will come and they will visit immigrant communities and they will see the kind of lives that we are building here. I want to offer an opportunity for our new president to come and spend a day with me, to see what it is to be Somali, to be Muslim, and to be a refugee that has gotten the opportunity to have a new life. That is my message. And I hope he takes me up on my offer. Thank you.
It's tough going after Ilhan. Jelani Hussein, the Executive Director for the Council on American Islamic Relations, Minnesota chapter. And I'm here today to stand with Ilhan and just to say a few words. As it's already been said, every single one of us is an immigrant to this nation, except the Native Americans and the forced immigration of African Americans. Every single person who's here came with a story of immigration, a refugee, seeking a better life. And today's ban, today's order, today's promise that the president has made is a continuation of what the promises he has made during the election. And we saw during that time the rise of anti-Muslim, anti-this, anti-immigration, and Islamophobia has now become a major problem in our society. And today, that ban continues to build upon that Islamophobic principle of framing American Muslims as a threat and showing the world Muslims that America is not a place for them. And that actually, it goes hand in hand for the propaganda of terrorist organizations across the world. We are giving them enough ammunition to continue to recruit, a challenge that we all are facing and a challenge that we all need to overcome. This ban is something that I think affects all of us, even though it affects people here in Minneapolis who have been waiting for family members to come. We have many people who come every single day to this country, many people who look all over the world to this country for guidance, to this country to seek that democracy that we are trying to teach the rest of the world. And so today is a dark day, but I know tomorrow will be a bright day because I want to wake up every single person in this country who believes in the democracy, who believes that this land has always been a home for people all over the world, to stand up once again, to march on the streets, to call for the country that we all have been promised for and our generations have died for, to fight for a country that is welcoming, a country that welcomes every single person, just like me and my family. And so we must stand forward, and I want to just be very clear. The order that President Trump made today was a clear attack again on the Muslim community and the religion of Islam. And that does not make our country safe. Instead, it makes our country even weaker. We are safer when we are together. We are safer when we are united and one nation as a community. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Senator Patricia Torres Ray and Senator Fong He.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. I want you to take a look at the group that is with me, with us today. This is us. We are together, and we are going to fight together against this. So the proposal from the president today is about building a 2,000-mile wall that will cost taxpayers about $25 billion. And he makes this announcement after he proposes to the nation that millions of Americans will not have access to health care. We refuse to pay for that. We are going to organize against that because we need health care for our families. We need education. We don't need a wall. Immigrants have built this nation. We provide $750 billion to this economy. And yes, Mr. Trump, we do take jobs that nobody else wants. Meatpacking companies, food processing companies, companies that build beautiful homes right now in the winter. Nobody wants to be in the roof, building a roof. Immigrants are building those roofs. So we are here to say we are with the immigrant community. We're going to fight for their rights. And we are not going to use taxpayers' dollars to build a wall and to take away benefits, health benefits, education, housing from American people. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm State Senator Fong He. I represent East Side St. Paul, where it's the home base of immigrant population, whether it's European immigrant or Southeast Asian immigrants, Somali immigrants, or Hispanic immigrant from all over. And I'm proud to represent my district. And what I heard today from the executive orders is very, very upsetting. It is un-American to build a wall. It's not Minnesotan to support that effort. There was no wall when my family and my people, the Hmong people, are sponsored here by Catholic and Lutheran. There was no wall when the Mayflower landed in this country. There wasn't no wall when Columbus lost in South America. And we were the one We were the one in 30 years ago, we told Russia to break down the Berlin Wall. Yeah. We were the one.
That's good.
So today I ask everyone to stand together. Thank you for everybody for being here. I ask our caucus, the Democrat caucus, as well as the Republican, to stand together as strong Minnesotan to tell our president that do not build that wall. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Jonae McAfee, who is here representing the governor and lieutenant governor.
Hi, everyone. As he said, my name is Jonae McAfee. I am a policy advisor to the governor and lieutenant governor. The lieutenant governor sends her regrets she was not able to be here. She's home not feeling well, but did ask me to come and read the following statement. I stand in solidarity for the respect, freedom, and dignity of all of our friends and neighbors in Minnesota, and in opposition to those who seek to divide us by attacking refugees and immigrant Minnesotans. Minnesota communities and our economy are strong because of our history of welcoming immigrants from every continent, nation, and culture. We will keep on working to enhance understanding, expand opportunity, and protect human rights for all of us. In doing so, we make Minnesota even stronger. Thank you.
Next, we have a brief statement from Congressman Keith Ellison by Mitra.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mitra Jalali Nelson. I'm here on behalf of Congressman Keith Ellison, and I'd like to read the following letter he's written to our community here and to our constituents. Dear friends, I stand with you today all the way from Washington, D.C., where I'm working in Congress right now to stand up and stand firm against this administration's policies. I'm proud to represent the 5th Congressional District of Minnesota, home to thousands of people who have made this country their home. There's no better picture of America in my mind than this community, made up of people from nearly every continent working to create a more inclusive and just society. It is with my constituents in mind that I reject today the administration's proposal to spend American tax dollars on an expensive border wall and withdraw funding from cities that have made a legal choice to prioritize local law enforcement over federal immigration concerns. I also reject pending executive orders that will target individuals from majority Muslim countries with no demonstrated basis for this other than their religion, and to turn away refugees who come here seeking the chance to build a better life on the promise of America. These orders are already hurting our country. Just this morning, I received a call from a Somali family who has been waiting more than 5 years to have their brothers, sisters, and children join them here. They played by all the rules, submitted all the forms, paid all the fees, took all the tests, yet in the first few days of his administration, President Trump has decided that this family doesn't deserve to be together because of the religion they practice in the country they come from. That is wrong. These executive orders tear apart families who only want to live a safe and happy life. They target people escaping unthinkable violence and people waiting in refugee camps for an attempt at a normal life. They target people based on their religion, something our founding fathers were so worried about, they made it the First Amendment to our Constitution. They undermine the safety of our communities, relying on surveillance, walls, and fear-mongering that will only further divide us. The things that we hold dearest that make us Americans are our values. The freedom to practice one's religion without persecution, the freedom of self-determination, the freedom to build a good life for ourselves and our families. These values should be non-negotiable. But President Trump and all who support him are telling the American people these values do not matter to them. I will oppose these efforts in Congress, and I thank all of you here who join me in supporting our community at every level, too. Now more than ever, we must stand up and say that refugee and immigrant rights are human rights. Sincerely, Congressman Keith Ellison. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Mayor of Minneapolis, Betsy Hodges.
If you want to use the levers of federal government to try and dismantle our democracy and actually create more authoritarian rule, here's what you do. You go after voters, you go after the media, you go after the artists, you erase people from your website, and you lie. You tell your press secretary to lie. And most of all, you scapegoat people. You scapegoat immigrant people, you scapegoat Muslims, you scapegoat Jews, you scapegoat women, you scapegoat people and try and blame collective American difficulties on specific groups of people, and by so doing, centralize your own power and authority. And one of the things that you do is you tell local law enforcement that they need to make the people in their city less safe. You tell the cities of America, no, your law enforcement has to do the work of federal law enforcement, federal immigration authority, so that people do not feel safe calling the police. We have worked way too long and way too hard in this city to make everybody feel safe calling the police, and we have a long way to go to let President Trump get in the middle of that relationship.
Yeah. That's right.
We have a separation ordinance in the city of Minneapolis because it makes our city safer, and it makes the people of Minneapolis safer, so that victims of crime, that witnesses of crime know that when they call the police, they will be treated well and they will be safe to do so, and their immigration status will not be questioned. That will stand in the city of Minneapolis as long as I am mayor. Donald Trump is doing his best to try and punish cities who have separation ordinances. I think he just turned off the light. Donald Trump is doing his best to punish cities that have separation ordinances by threatening funding to cities. That is a big problem, and we will need to solve it. But it is a bigger problem if our democracy comes tumbling down around our ears, which is what it's in danger of doing if we give in to these kinds of threats. So we will stand strong. And as I stand as mayor, he's going to have to get through me. But part of the reason I can say that is because I know I am not standing alone like this. I've got all these people. I've got an entire city. I've got an entire state standing behind me when I do it. He's going to have to get through all of us. That's why we're here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next speaker is Councilmember Alondra Cano. Actually, I haven't seen her. Oh, there she is.
Good to see you. Sorry, I was standing in the back. Before I begin, I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that we have some of my colleagues here today, Councilmember Jacob Fry, who's in the back. I know that Council Vice President Elizabeth Glynn really wanted to be here. Councilmember, is she here? Oh, Elizabeth is here. Thank you. I did not see her. Councilmember Cam Gordon, it sounds like he's in the room, and I know that Councilmember Lisa Goodman also sends her solidarity. The timing issues were a little tricky today. So my name is Alondra Cano, and as the daughter of undocumented immigrant people, as the daughter of meatpacking factory workers from rural Minnesota, and as the first Mexican American to be elected to the Minneapolis City Council, I have a message for the President of the United States. You can take the money, you will never take our people. We will never let go of those families that raised us, the people that make our city and our state and our nation strong. From the cultural corridors in the city, where we see all of these robust small entrepreneurs and businesses that are making East Lake Street, Franklin Avenue, Cedar Riverside thrive, all the way to the festivals and the cultural celebrations that fill our streets every summer, to the houses that are boarded up that only immigrants want to buy in neighborhoods that people have long ignored or forgotten. Those are the people that we're here to stand up for. Those are the people that matter. And our legacy will not be one that will destroy our country, destroy everything that we've built together over the last 10 plus years in the face of so much repression, in the face of ongoing deportations, in the face of foreclosures, in the face of attacks that one can only imagine. Some of us have survived those attacks. Some of us are still standing here today, and we will continue to stand here today. We will not go anywhere. Together, using our social platforms, using our political platforms, mobilizing and organizing like we've never done before. Just this past week, I think we've put together 5 events in the face of what's been happening. And guess what? I'm ready for more. So bring it. Let's do this together. Let's ensure we protect our communities. And only together will we get through all of these attacks. So thank you for being here. Sí se puede.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Reverend Jan Eller Isaacs from Unitarian.
I speak here as one humble representative of the faith community in the state of Minnesota who want to stand and welcome all strangers, because at the heart of every major religion is the adage that we must care for and welcome the stranger, every major religion. And as a religious leader, we will not stray from this moral imperative. We will welcome the holy strangers into our sanctuaries. We will care for their families, especially their children. And we will support our cities and our towns who continue to be sanctuary cities. We will strive to do unto others as we would have others do unto us. And I ask the president, do you remember the terror of the Holocaust, of drawing lines in the sand where we created others, evil others? Do you remember? Do you remember the marriage equality where we drew lines in the sand and we fought against it? And we said all are welcome in this state. And I stand here as a religious leader saying all are welcome in our state.
Two more to go. Our next speaker is Kayin Yang, who's from the Coalition of Asian American Leadership.
Good afternoon. My name is Kai Ying. My family and I came to this country as refugees 40 years ago. We were sponsored by the Catholic Charities. I am now the policy director for the Coalition of Asian American Leaders. We are a network of Asian American leaders who work in every sector and come from diverse ethnic backgrounds and represent multiple generations. Our people were among the first to be excluded by U.S. laws when it comes to immigration. As a reminder, the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 barred Chinese immigrants. The Immigration Act of 1924 limited the number of immigrants by country and excluded all immigrants from Asia that did not end until 1952. We know the dangers of generalizing a whole group of people because of the executive order that interned over 100,000 Japanese, most of whom were Americans. Let us not forget that no persons interned were ever found guilty of going against the U.S., and in fact, the Japanese American Troop 442 became the most decorated unit of any in World War II. In Minnesota, we also know our largest Asian American ethnic populations are Hmong, the Asian Indian Americans. One bravely fought for our freedom, and the other is actively brought here because they are a huge asset to our corporate sector's brain power. Both call Minnesota home, and all are here to achieve the American dream, not take away from America. Today, we stand together with everyone here to share our deep concern about the Trump administration's direction on immigration. The U.S., and specifically Minnesota, has served as a beacon of hope for our immigrant and refugee families. This standing in the world is worth just as much, if not more, than any military show of force we have in the world. We have always been a nation that has benefited and prospered because we welcome the world. These new executive orders go against everything that makes us the #1 country in the world. We will work with anyone who wants to maintain this standing in the world by being welcoming. Thank you very much.
Our last speaker is Representative Rod Hamilton.
Go ahead. Can you hear me all right from here?
Why don't you go up and back?
Right? So, salam alaikum. So, I simply want to add, all too often we fear what we don't take the time to understand, whether it's the color of one's skin, the way we dress, the languages we speak, or the way we choose to worship. If we'd simply take the time to get to know one another, you'll find beauty all around you. And that's all there is to it. It's as simple as that, right? So I, too, want to just thank everybody for being here. And I represent a very diverse community down in the city of Worthington, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, right? And so, again, I just want to assure people that, you know, we are here to bring people together, do what we can to bring people together, and our doors are always open, right? So with that, thank you for being here, and I'm glad to be a part of today.
So, again, I want to thank everyone for coming. We can take some questions. I just want to say that we all learned about alternative facts this week. So I have an alternative fact for President Trump. Try coming here and trying to make us do what your executive orders say. We're not listening. That's our alternative fact. Questions from the media? Thank you very much.